The crystal chandeliers of caviar and rose cast amber light across white tablecloths as I balanced 3 plates along my forearm. The practiced ease of someone who'd served Manhattan's elite for 2 years. My shift was supposed to end at 10. It was already 11:30. And table 7, the private corner booth, had just seated 4 men in tailored suits that probably cost more than my rent. I approached with my professional smile firmly in place. The one that said, "I'm here to serve you, not to exist. Good evening, gentlemen. Can I start you off with vodka?" The Beluga Gold Line, 4 glasses. The man who spoke didn't look up from his phone. His voice carried the kind of authority that made my spine straighten involuntarily. Dark hair swept back from a face too striking to be merely handsome, sharp jaw, full lips, and eyes the color of gunmetal that finally lifted to mine. Those eyes assessed me in less than a second, dismissed me in less than 2. "Right away," I said, turning toward the bar. That's when I heard it. Russian, fluid and casual, spoken by the man with the gunmetal eyes to the broad-shouldered giant sitting across from him. "Ona vygliadit kak deshevaya shliuka, kotoraya paknet ochayaniem. Poshemu oni nanimayut takoya zdeis?" She looks like a cheap whore who smells of desperation. Why do they hire such people here? My hand froze on my notepad. Heat flooded my face, not from embarrassment, but from pure, white-hot rage. I'd spent 6 months in St. Petersburg during my gap year, living with my grandmother before she passed. 6 months perfecting the language she'd whispered to me as a child. 6 months learning that some men thought beautiful clothes gave them permission to be ugly. The other men chuckled. Low, dismissive sounds that said they agreed. I should have walked away. Should have swallowed it like I'd swallowed 1,000 other insults in this job. Tips paid my NYU night classes. Silence paid my bills. But my grandmother's voice echoed in my head. Nikogda ne pozvolye. I am dumat. Koto ti slabaye. Kemyesi. Never let them think you're weaker than you are. I turned back slowly, my smile now sharp as broken glass. Interezno, I said in flawless Russian, my voice cutting through their conversation like a knife through silk. Потому что я думаю, что мужчина, который приошется в частном кабинете, оскорбляя официанток, пахнет как гораздо хуже страхом быть узнаным. Interesting, because I think a man who hides in a private booth insulting waitresses smells like something far worse, the fear of being recognized. The table went dead silent. All 4 men stared at me, but it was his expression that made my heart skip first shock, then something darker, something dangerous. His jaw tightened, and those gunmetal eyes locked onto mine with an intensity that made the air feel thin. "Ty gavoryash po-ruski," he said slowly. Not a question, an accusation. "Svobodno," I replied, fluently. My grandmother was from Moscow. She taught me that people reveal their true nature when they think no one's listening. I paused, letting my gaze sweep across all 4 men. She also taught me to recognize vorvy zakon when I see them. Thieves-in-law, the old Russian term for mafia. The broad-shouldered man's hand moved toward his jacket. The one to my left pushed back his chair. But the dark-haired man, their obvious leader, raised one finger. Just one. And they all froze. He stood slowly, and I realized with a jolt how tall he was. 6'3", maybe 6'4". He buttoned his suit jacket with deliberate precision, then stepped around the table until he was close enough that I could smell his cologne. Cedar and something darker, more primal. "What's your name?" His English was perfect, barely accented, but his voice had dropped to a register that made my pulse race for entirely different reasons than anger. "Elena." My own voice came out steadier than I felt. "Elena Volkov." Something flickered across his face. "Volkov." He repeated my grandmother's surname like he was tasting it. "And you think you know what I am? I know what you are." I held his gaze even though every instinct screamed at me to look away. "The question is why you're here. Caviar and Rose isn't exactly Brighton Beach." The corner of his mouth lifted, not quite a smile, more like the acknowledgement of a worthy opponent. "Perhaps I'm just a businessman enjoying dinner. Businessmen don't travel with 3 bodyguards, and they don't speak in coded Russian about shipments and territories while eating $70 steaks." I'd heard more than the insult. I'd heard fragments of their earlier conversation enough to know these men weren't here for the ambiance. He studied me for a long moment. Then he reached into his jacket. My breath caught. This was it. This was how Elena Volkov, aspiring child psychologist and part-time waitress, died at 24 because she couldn't keep her mouth shut. But he only pulled out a black leather card case. He extracted a single card, matte black, No text. Just a phone number embossed in silver and held it between two fingers. You've made an impression, Elena Volkov. His voice dropped lower, intimate despite the distance. Very few people surprise me. Even fewer challenge me to my face. He tucked the card into my apron pocket, his fingers brushing against my hip through the fabric. The contact lasted a fraction of a second too long to be accidental. I'll remember you. Then he stepped back, pulled a money clip from his pocket, and peeled off what looked like $100 bills. He set them on the table without counting. For the vodka we didn't drink, and your discretion. He turned to leave, his men falling into formation around him. But at the archway, he paused and looked back. Those gunmetal eyes found mine across the restaurant's warm lighting. Ostorozna, malinkaya vorobishka, he called softly. Vi etom gorodem nogo. Koshek. Be careful, little sparrow. There are many cats in this city. Then they were gone, leaving me standing in the empty dining room with $1,000 on the table, a card burning a hole in my pocket, and the terrifying certainty that I'd just walked into something I didn't understand. My hands were shaking as I cleared the table. The money felt wrong somehow, like payment for something I hadn't agreed to yet. I pulled out the card, studying the silver numbers under the chandelier light. No name, no context, just a phone number that felt like an open door to a room I should never enter. But even as I told myself to throw it away, I slipped it into my purse instead. Because beneath the fear, beneath the anger, something else hummed through my veins. Something reckless and hungry that recognized the danger in his eyes and wanted to know what it tasted like. I didn't know his name yet. I didn't know that by morning, my face would be in a dossier on his desk. I didn't know that he'd already decided I was his. All I knew was that when I walked out of Caviar and Rose at 1:15 a.m., a black SUV was parked across the street with tinted windows that reflected nothing but my own uncertain face. And that somewhere in this city, a man who commanded empires was thinking about a waitress who'd called him a coward in his mother tongue. The hunt had begun. I just didn't know I was the prey. I didn't call the number. For 3 days, the black card sat in my purse like a loaded gun, and I pretended my life was normal. Classes at NYU. Double shifts at the restaurant. Ramen dinners in my studio apartment in Hell's Kitchen. Normal. Except nothing felt normal anymore. The black SUV appeared twice more, once outside my building, once near campus. Different locations, same tinted windows, same sick feeling in my stomach that I was being watched. On the 4th day, my manager Raphael pulled me aside before my shift. There's someone here to see you. His expression was strange, almost apologetic. He's waiting in the back office. My throat went dry. Who? Didn't give a name, just said you'd know him. Raphael's hand landed on my shoulder. Elena. You in some kind of trouble? No, I lied. It's fine. The office door was closed. I stood outside it for 30 seconds, my hand on the knob, telling myself I could walk away. Call the cops. Quit this job and disappear into the 8 million people of New York City. I opened the door instead. He wasn't alone. The man from the restaurant sat behind Raphael's desk, like he owned it. His suit today charcoal gray, his hands folded on the scratched wood surface. But it was the other man, the broad-shouldered giant who'd reached for his gun 4 nights ago, who stood by the door, blocking my exit. Elena Volkov. He said my name like he'd been practicing it. Sit down. I'll stand. That almost smile again. You're consistent. I appreciate that. He gestured to the chair anyway. Please. There was no please in his tone. Only command. I sat, but kept my spine straight, my chin up, my grandmother's voice again. Show no fear, even when you're drowning in it. You know who I am? He asked. A man who insults waitresses in Russian and travels with armed security. I crossed my arms. That narrows it down to about 50 people in this city. 47, actually. He leaned back, those gunmetal eyes never leaving mine. I'm Alexei Mikhailov. And you, Elena Volkov, have become interesting. The way he said interesting made heat crawl up my neck. I didn't ask to be interesting to you. No, you asked to be invisible, to serve and fade away. He pulled a tablet from his jacket, tapped it once, and turned it to face me. But invisibility requires a boring story. Yours is not boring. My own face stared back at me from the screen. Elena Volkov, 24. Born in Brooklyn to Katrina Volkov, deceased, and father unknown. Raised by maternal grandmother, Irina Volkov, deceased. Full scholarship to NYU, Psychology major. 3.8 gigapascals. Works 2 jobs. No criminal record. No romantic attachments. Lives alone. My breath came faster. You investigated me. I investigate everyone who learns my name. He closed the tablet. Do you know what I found most interesting, Elena? I couldn't speak. Couldn't move. Your grandmother, Irina Volkov, born Irina Sokolov in Moscow, 1948. She left Russia in 1972 under, let's call them mysterious circumstances. He paused. Her brother was Dmitry Sokolov. You know that name? My blood turned to ice. No. Liar. The word cracked like a whip. Dmitry Sokolov ran the Brighton Beach Bratva for 30 years before he was murdered in 2003. Your grandmother's brother was one of the most powerful Russian mobsters in New York history. And you? He leaned forward. You are his great niece. The room spun. I didn't know him. I never met him. But you carry his blood. The Sokolov name. The Sokolov survival instinct. Alexei stood, circling the desk with predatory grace. When you called me Vorvy Zakon 4 nights ago, you weren't guessing. You were recognizing family. I'm not. My voice cracked. I'm not part of that world. No? He stopped in front of me, close enough that I had to tilt my head back to meet his eyes. Then why did you learn Russian from a woman who fled the Bratva? Why did you study psychology, the science of reading people, of understanding violence and trauma? Why do you work in a restaurant where powerful men make deals in the shadows? Because I needed money for school. Because you needed to understand them. His hand came up, and I flinched, but he only tucked a strand of hair behind my ear. The touch was gentle. Wrong. You're hunting something, Malenkaya Vorobishka. Answers maybe. Or revenge. I slapped his hand away and stood. You don't know anything about me. I know your mother was found dead of an overdose when you were 6. I know the case was never solved. I know the detective assigned to Fair. Marcus Chen retired early and moved to Miami 3 months later with a sudden influx of cash. He tilted his head. I know someone paid him to stop investigating, and I think you know it too. Tears burned my eyes. I blinked them back savagely. What do you want from me? Right now? Nothing. He reached into his pocket and pulled out another card. This one had text. An address in Tribeca. But you have 2 choices, Elena. 1. Walk away. Forget you ever met me. Live your small, safe life serving people who don't see you. And 2? His smile was dark and beautiful and dangerous. Come to this address Friday at 8 p.m. Wear something that doesn't smell like the restaurant. And learn what it means to be a Sokolov's daughter in my world. I'm not interested in your world. Then why haven't you thrown away my card? I had no answer. Because he was right. The card had lived in my purse for 4 days, and I'd pulled it out a dozen times, running my thumb over the embossed numbers like they held secrets. Friday, 8 p.m. He moved toward the door, and his bodyguard stepped aside. But at the threshold, Alexei paused. Oh, and Elena? I know you've been researching me online, checking for my name, my businesses, my connections. My face burned. I haven't. You won't find anything. I don't exist in databases or social media. I'm a ghost. His eyes glinted. But I'm the ghost who can tell you who killed your mother. I'm the ghost who knows every dirty secret in this city. I'm the ghost. He stepped closer, his voice dropping to a whisper. Who's going to own you, body and soul, if you're brave enough to let me? Then he was gone. I stood in the office for 10 minutes after they left, my heart slamming against my ribs, my mind racing. He knew about my mother. He knew about the detective. He knew things I'd spent 18 years trying to uncover through library archives and freedom of information requests and late-night internet deep dives that led nowhere. The address card sat on the desk where he'd left it. I picked it up with shaking hands. Friday was 2 days away. 2 days to decide if I was willing to trade my safety for truth. 2 days to decide if I was my grandmother's granddaughter, brave and reckless, and willing to walk into fire for answers. I thought about my mother's hollow eyes in the single photo I owned. I thought about the detective who'd looked at a 6-year-old girl and chosen money over justice. I thought about 18 years of questions that had no answers. And I thought about Alexei Mikhailov's eyes cold and hot at once, promising danger and something else. Something that made my skin burn and my breath catch and my body betray every ounce of common sense I possessed. On Friday night, I wore the only dress I owned that didn't come from a thrift store, black, simple, falling just above my knees. I put on lipstick for the first time in months. and I took the subway to Tribeca, with my grandmother's silver cross tucked under my dress. Prosty menya, babushka, I whispered. Forgive me. The address led to a building with no name, just a polished steel door and a security camera. I pressed the buzzer. Name. A voice crackled. Elena Volkov. The door clicked open. I stepped through, and the world I knew died behind me. The world I entered was all darkness and desire, and the man waiting at the top of the stairs looked at me like I was already his. The penthouse was a study in contrasts, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the glittering Manhattan skyline, but furniture in dark leather and steel that spoke of control rather than comfort. Modern art on the walls, each piece violent and beautiful. Classical music played softly from hidden speakers. Something Russian and melancholy. Alexei stood by the windows, whiskey glass in hand, watching the city below like a king surveying his kingdom. He didn't turn when I entered, didn't acknowledge me at all for 30 excruciating seconds. You came, he finally said. You knew I would. I hoped. He turned then, and the look in his eyes made my stomach flip. Hope and certainty are different things. With you, I'm learning the difference. He set down his glass and moved toward me with that same predatory grace. Tonight he wore all black shirt, slacks, even his watch. It made him look like a shadow come to life. Would you like a drink? Information, I said. You promised information about my mother. I promised the possibility of information. First, you answer my questions. He gestured to the leather sofa. Sit. Why do you keep giving me orders? Because you keep following them. His smile was sharp, even when you pretend to resist. Heat flooded my face because he was right. Some part of me, some reckless, hungry part I didn't recognize, responded to his dominance like gravity. I sat on the edge of the sofa, spine straight, knees together. Professional, guarded. He sat across from me, ankle crossed over knee, posture relaxed in a way that suggested he'd never felt threatened in his life. Tell me about your childhood, he said. Why? Because I want to know what shaped you. The woman brave enough to insult me in Russian. The woman smart enough to recognize what I am. The woman, his pause was deliberate, related to Dmitry Sokolov. I told you, I never knew him. But your grandmother did. She raised you. So tell me about her. I swallowed hard. Talking about babushka felt like opening a wound. She was fierce, protective. She taught me Russian, taught me to read people, taught me that the world was dangerous and beautiful at once. I met his eyes. She also taught me that men like you destroy everything they touch. Smart woman. He leaned forward. Did she tell you why she left Russia? She said she wanted freedom. She fled because Dmitry, her brother, fell in love with the wrong woman. A rival family's daughter. When that family found out, they killed her. Dmitry retaliated by starting a war that left 200 people dead. Alexei's voice was matter of fact. Your grandmother couldn't stomach the violence, so she disappeared, changed her name, started over in America with nothing. My throat tightened. How do you know this? Because I studied the Sokolov legacy when I was 16, when I was learning how not to run an organization. He stood, paced to the windows. Dmitry ruled through fear and emotion. He let love make him weak. He let revenge make him reckless. And in the end, someone put a bullet in his head while he sat in his favorite restaurant. What does this have to do with my mother? Everything. He turned back. Your mother Katrina was Irina's only child. Raised in America, far from the Bratva. But blood calls to blood, Elena. When Katrina was 19, she met a man at a Brooklyn club. She didn't know he was Bratva. Didn't know he was connected to the same world her mother fled. My hands clenched in my lap. Who was he? Your father. The word hung in the air like a gunshot. I don't have a father. Everyone has a father. Yours is Nikolai Korsakov. He's 53 now. Runs weapons trafficking through the port of Newark. Alexei crossed the room, crouched in front of me so we were eye level. He got your mother pregnant. She refused to abort you. He couldn't afford the scandal. He was married to a boss's daughter. So he paid her off. Gave her enough money to disappear. Then why is she dead? Because your mother made the mistake of coming back. When you were 6, she approached Nikolai, demanded more money, threatened to expose him. His hand came up, cupped my jaw gently. He had her killed, made it look like an overdose, and when Detective Chen started asking too many questions, Nikolai paid him to close the case. Tears spilled down my cheeks before I could stop them. You're lying. I wish I was. His thumb brushed away a tear. But I have proof. Documents, bank records, witness, statements from men who owed Dmitri loyalty and now owe me the same. His eyes burned into mine. I can give you everything you need to destroy Nikolai Korsakov, but it comes with a price. What price? You. The word was soft. Absolute. For the next month you belong to me. You live here, under my protection. You learn my world. You let me show you what power really means. And at the end, his other hand slid into my hair, tilting my head back. You decide if you want revenge enough to become part of this life permanently. That's insane. That's the deal. My breath came in short gasps. His face was inches from mine. His grip firm but not painful. His body radiating heat that made me dizzy. And if I say no? Then you walk out that door. I give you nothing. And Nikolai Korsakov lives out his life free and rich, while your mother rots in an unmarked grave. His voice dropped to a whisper. Is that what you want, Malenkaya Vorobishka? I want justice. Justice is a fairy tale. Revenge is real. His lips were so close now I could feel his breath on my mouth. Say yes. Why do you care? Why help me? Something shifted in his expression. Something raw and honest and dangerous. Because when you stood in that restaurant and challenged me in Russian, you reminded me of someone I lost. Someone brave and foolish and beautiful. His hand tightened in my hair. And because I want you, have wanted you since you looked at me with fire in your eyes, and I always take what I want. He should have scared me, should have disgusted me. Instead, heat pooled low in my stomach, and I heard myself whisper, yes. The word was barely out before his mouth crashed into mine. The kiss was nothing like I'd imagined a first kiss with a stranger could be. It was claiming, consuming. His hand in my hair held me captive while his mouth moved over mine with expert precision, coaxing my lips open, his tongue sliding against mine in a rhythm that made me moan into his mouth. I'd been kissed before. College boys, awkward dates. This wasn't kissing, this was possession. When he finally pulled back, my lips were swollen, my breath ragged. His eyes had gone dark, pupils blown wide. You're mine now, he said simply. Say it. Say it, Elena. I'm yours. The words felt like surrender and freedom at once. He stood, pulling me up with him. Your apartment is being cleared as we speak. Your things will be here tomorrow. Tonight. He led me toward a hallway. I'll show you where you'll sleep. The bedroom was massive. King-sized bed with black silk sheets. Another wall of windows. An ensuite bathroom done in marble and gold. You'll have everything you need, Alexei said from the doorway. Clothes, security, access to the files on your father. He paused. But understand this. Once you're in my world, there's no going back. You'll see things that can't be unseen. Learn things that can't be unlearned. And people will know you're under my protection. Which means they'll use you to get to me. I'm not afraid. You should be. He stepped closer. I'm not a good man, Elena. I've killed. I've destroyed families. I've built an empire on blood and fear. And if you stay here... His hand came up, traced my bottom lip. I will corrupt you. I will make you crave things you once despised. I will ruin you for any other man. My heart hammered. Maybe I want to be ruined. His control cracked. I saw it in the way his jaw clenched, his breathing quickened. Not tonight. He stepped back. Tonight you rest. Tomorrow, your education begins. He moved toward the door. Sleep well, Moya Malenkaya Vorobishka. Tomorrow I show you hell and teach you how to rule it. The door closed behind him. I stood alone in the luxurious prison of silk and marble, my lips still burning from his kiss, my body still humming from his touch. I should have been terrified. Instead, I walked to the window and looked out at the city, at millions of lights hiding, millions of secrets. My father was out there, the man who killed my mother, the man who stole my childhood, and now I had a monster on my side. A beautiful, dangerous monster who'd just claimed me as his own. I touched my fingers to my mouth, remembering the taste of whiskey and danger. What have I done? But deep down, I knew. I'd traded my soul for revenge. And God help me, I wanted more. I didn't sleep. How could I, when every time I closed my eyes, I felt Alexei's hand in my hair, his mouth on mine, his voice promising corruption. At 6 a.m., a knock sounded. I opened the door to find a woman in her 40s, elegant in a dove-gray suit, holding garment bags. Miss Volkov, I'm Irina, She swept past me into the room. Mr. Mikhailov has arranged your wardrobe. We'll start with breakfast attire. You need everything. Her smile was kind but firm. In this world, appearance is armor. Now, shower. We have 30 minutes before he expects you. The hot water did nothing to clear my head. When I emerged, Irina had laid out clothes on the bed, tailored black slacks, a cream silk blouse, understated gold jewelry, simple elegance, she explained, helping me dress with efficient hands. You're not trying to be noticed. You're showing you belong. She stepped back, studied me. Better. The hair. I can do my own hair. Her expression softened. Of course. But remember, soft waves, not the tight bun you wear at the restaurant. You're not a servant anymore. Then what am I? Alexei waited in the dining room, reading a tablet over espresso and what looked like financial reports. He'd already been to the gym, his hair was damp, his shirt crisp white with rolled sleeves that showed forearms roped with muscle and scarred with old violence. He looked up when I entered. His gaze traveled slowly down my body and back up, and I felt it like a physical touch. Good, he said simply. Sit. Breakfast appeared. Blini with caviar, smoked salmon, fresh fruit. My stomach was too knotted to eat. You'll eat, Alexei said without looking up. You need strength for today. What's today? Your first lesson. He set down the tablet. How much do you know about my organization? Nothing. By design, I assume. That almost smile. Smart. I run 3 primary operations. Import-export through the ports, real estate development in gentrifying neighborhoods, and private security contracting. All legitimate on paper, all profitable. He sipped his espresso. But the real money comes from what we move through those operations. Weapons, information, people who need to disappear. My stomach turned. Human trafficking? Relocations. His voice hardened. I don't touch drugs. I don't touch children. But men and women who need new identities, who need to escape situations, I provide that service. For a price. That's still illegal? Yes. Immoral? He leaned back. That depends on your perspective. Last month, I moved a Saudi woman escaping an honor killing. Before that, a Chinese dissident and his family. Tell me, Elena, is their freedom immoral? I had no answer. Everything is gray, he continued. That's lesson 1. Good and evil are luxuries for people who've never had to make impossible choices. He stood. Come, I'll show you where the choices are made. The car, a different black SUV, this one bulletproof according to the driver, took us to a warehouse in Red Hook. Outside, it looked abandoned. Inside, it was a hive of activity. Men loading crates, checking manifests, speaking in Russian and English and languages I didn't recognize. They all stopped when Alexei entered. The silence was immediate, total, like a king entering his court. As you were, he said quietly, and they moved again. But I felt their eyes on me, assessing, calculating. They're wondering who you are, Alexei murmured, his hand on my lower back as he guided me through the warehouse. By noon, they'll know your name. By tonight, they'll know your name. Untouchable. Because of you. Because you're mine. We climbed metal stairs to an office overlooking the floor. Inside, the broad-shouldered man from the restaurant, Dmitri, I'd learned his name, waited with 2 others. Gentlemen, Alexei said. This is Elena Volkov, Dmitri Sokolov's great niece. She'll be observing operations for the next month. I felt their shock like a physical force. Boss? Dmitri said carefully. Is that wise? The Sokolov name is legend. Alexei's voice cut like steel. And she carries it. Anyone who touches her answers to me. Understood? 3 voices in unison. Yes, sir. For the next 4 hours, I watched Alexei work. Watched him review shipment logs with the precision of a chess master. Watched him listen to reports of territorial disputes, rival movements, police activity. Watched him make decisions swift, cold, final that would affect dozens of lives. He was terrifying, efficient, brilliant. And I couldn't look away. At one point, a young man was brought in, early 20s, bruised face, hands bound. Found him skimming from the port shipment, Dmitri explained. 10 grand over 3 months. The boy was crying. Please, Mr. Mikhailov, please, I have a sister. Alexei held up a hand. Silence fell. He studied the boy for a long moment. Then, where's the money? I spent it. Medical bills. My mother. The truth. Not a question. A command. Gambling. The boy whispered. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Alexei stood, walked around the desk. The boy flinched. You stole from me. That's a death sentence in this organization. He let that sink in. But I'm curious, Elena. He turned to me. What would you do? All eyes swung to me. My throat went dry. He made a mistake, I said carefully. But he confessed. That counts for something. Does it? Alexei's expression gave nothing away. In your world, perhaps. In mine, weakness spreads like cancer. If I spare him, 10 others will think they can steal. Where do I draw? The line? You draw it at murder, I said. You draw it at becoming the monster everyone already thinks you are. The room held its breath. Then Alexei laughed, a genuine surprise sound that transformed his face. You see? This is why I want her. He looked at Dmitri. Break his hands. Both of them. Let him heal. Then put him to work in the warehouse manual labor. No access to money. He pays back 20 grand over 2 years. Or we revisit this conversation. He looked at the boy. You just gambled your life and won because of her. Don't make me regret mercy. The boy was dragged out, sobbing thanks. When we were alone, Alexei turned to me. You just saved his life. You were going to kill him? I was going to let my men vote. Dmitri would have voted death. The others would have followed. He stepped closer. You gave me an alternative that maintains my authority without unnecessary violence. That's valuable. I didn't do it for you. I know. You did it because you still believe people deserve second chances. His hand came up, traced my cheekbone. Don't lose that. I need it. He stopped himself, stepped back. Lunch. Then I show you the other side of what I do. The other side was a crisis center in the Bronx. I stared at the modest building with its cheerful mural and playground. What is this? A shelter for women escaping domestic violence. I fund it. Anonymously. He led me inside, where a woman in her 50s greeted him by name Alexei, not Mr. Mikhailov, with a warm hug. Elena, this is Maria. She runs the center. Runs it and keeps this one honest, Maria said with a pointed look at Alexei. You're late on your quarterly visit. I've been busy. Too busy for this? She gestured to the common room, where women and children were gathered, some laughing, some hollow-eyed, all safe. These women exist because of your money. The least you can do is show your face. He actually looked chagrined. You're right. I'm sorry. We spent 2 hours there. Alexei played chess with a 7-year-old boy whose father had put his mother in the hospital. He listened to a teenage girl's college aspirations and promised to send an application check. He held a baby while her mother filled out restraining order paperwork. And I watched this brutal man become gentle, become human. Why? I asked in the car afterward. Why what? Why do this? It doesn't fit. He was quiet for a long moment. My mother died when I was 8. My father's fists. I watched her bleed out on our kitchen floor while he washed his hands and went to work. His voice was empty of emotion, which made it worse. I killed him when I was 16, made it look like a rival hit, and I swore I'd never let another man do to his family what mine did to us. My chest ached. Alexei, don't. He cut me off. Don't pity me. I've done worse things than he ever dreamed of. I'm not redeemed by one shelter. He looked at me. But maybe I'm not damned yet either. Maybe that's why I need you, to remind me where the line is. Back at the penthouse, he poured us both whiskey. I didn't usually drink, but I needed it. You're more complex than I thought, I admitted. Disappointed? Confused. Good. He raised his glass. To confusion. It keeps life interesting. We drank in comfortable silence. Then, tomorrow, I teach you to shoot. What? If you're in my world, you need to defend yourself. I have enemies, Elena. And now, his eyes burned into mine. So do you. That night I lay in the massive bed and finally accepted the truth. I wasn't just attracted to the danger Alexei represented. I was falling for the man beneath it. The killer with gentle hands. The monster who saved lives. The czar who'd given me a kingdom I never asked for but was starting to crave. And somewhere in this city, my father was breathing, living, free, not for long. Alexei had promised me revenge, but I was starting to want something else too. I was starting to want him. The gun was heavier than I expected. Glock 19, Alexei said, standing behind me in the private shooting range beneath his building. 15 rounds. Simple, reliable. Perfect for a beginner. His body pressed against my back as he adjusted my grip, his hands covering mine, his breath warm on my neck. Feet shoulder-width apart. Breathe. On the exhale, squeeze, don't pull the trigger. I tried to focus on the target. Tried not to notice how perfectly we fit together, how his chest was solid against my shoulders, how his voice in my ear sent shivers down my spine. Concentrate, Melenkaya Vorobishka. Hard to concentrate when you're... I stopped. When I'm what? His voice dropped lower, intimate. Touching you? Yes, good. He didn't move away. In a real situation, you'll be scared, distracted. You need to learn to shoot through that. His hands tightened over mine. Now shoot. I exhaled and squeezed. The recoil jolted my arms. The shot went wide, missing the target completely. Again. We went through all 15 rounds. I hit the target exactly once outer ring, barely. When the gun was empty, Alexei finally stepped back. Adequate. For day one. I turned to face him. I was terrible. You didn't run. You didn't cry. You didn't give up. He reloaded the gun with swift, practiced movements. That's better than most. He held it out. Again. We spent 2 hours in that basement. By the end, I could hit the target's center mass 4 times out of 15. My arms ached. My ears rang despite the protection. But I felt powerful in a way I never had before. Enough, Alexei said finally. Shower. Then we have dinner. Another warehouse tour? No. Tonight. His smile was dangerous. I introduce you to New York's elite. The people who pretend their money isn't bloodstained. The restaurant was called Le Bernardin, the kind of place where reservations took months, and the wine list required a sommelier. I wore a dress Irina had selected, deep emerald silk, that clung to every curve before falling to mid-thigh, heels that made me almost tall enough to meet Alexei's eyes. Hair swept up, makeup subtle but smoky. When I emerged from the bedroom, Alexei stopped mid-conversation with Dmitri. Just stopped. Stared. You look... He cleared his throat. Good. You look good. Dmitri smirked. She looks better than good, boss. Out. Alexei said without looking away from me. When we were alone, he crossed the room slowly. His hand came up, traced the line of my collarbone where it disappeared into green silk. You're dangerous in this dress. That's the idea, isn't it? Armor, like Irina said. No. His thumb brushed my pulse point. Armor protects. This. His eyes dragged down my body. Is a weapon. You'll have every man in that restaurant wanting you. I don't want every man. No? He leaned closer. Who do you want, Elena? The air between us crackled. I could feel his heat, smell his cologne, cedar and danger, and something uniquely him. You, I whispered. God help me. I want you. His control snapped. One moment there was space between us. The next, his mouth was on mine harder than before, hungrier. His hand slid into my hair, ruining Irina's careful work, angling my head back so he could deepen the kiss. I gasped against his mouth, and he took advantage, his tongue sweeping in, claiming me. My hands fisted in his jacket, pulling him closer. I'd never wanted anything the way I wanted this man. Wanted him to keep kissing me, keep touching me, keep looking at me like I was oxygen and he was drowning. He pulled back abruptly, breathing hard. We need to stop. Why? Because if I don't stop now, we won't make dinner, and there are people I need you to meet. His thumb traced my swollen bottom lip. But later, the promise in his eyes made heat pool low in my belly. Later, Moya. I'm going to finish what we started. The restaurant was full of Manhattan's power players. I recognized a judge, a congressman, the CEO of a major bank. All of them greeted Alexei with respect that bordered on fear. We were seated at the best table corner position with clear sightlines to all exits. Alexei held my chair, his hand lingering on my bare shoulder. You'll be approached, he murmured as he sat. Smile. Be polite. Don't answer questions about us. Understood. What are we? His eyes met mine. Mine. That's all they need to know. Dinner was exquisite, courses I couldn't name, wine that cost more than my rent. But I barely tasted any of it because Alexei's hand found my thigh under the table, his thumb drawing lazy circles on my skin. You're distracted, he observed. You're distracting me. Good. His hand inched higher. I want you thinking about me, about this. His fingers brushed the edge of my underwear through the silk. About later. I bit my lip to keep from moaning. Someone will notice. No one sees below the table. No one sees. His fingers slipped under silk, found bare skin, and I gasped. This. Alexei. I breathed. Say it again. Alexei. Mr. Mikhailov. A voice cut through the haze. I didn't expect to see you here. Alexei's hand disappeared from between my thighs. His expression smoothed into polite interest as a man in his 60s approached silver hair, expensive suit, predatory smile. Senator Morrison. Alexei stood, shook his hand. Enjoying your meal? Immensely. The senator's eyes slid to me. And who is this lovely creature? Elena Volkov. Alexei's hand settled on my shoulder, possessive, warning. My companion. Volkov? The senator's smile faltered. Any relation to Dmitry Sokolov? The restaurant seemed to hold its breath. My great-uncle, I said evenly, though I never knew him. Of course, of course. The senator recovered quickly. Well, any friend of Alexei's is. Not your concern. Alexei finished coldly. Enjoy your dinner, Senator. It was a dismissal. The senator recognized it, nodded stiffly, and retreated. When we were alone, I turned to Alexei. He's corrupt, isn't he? That's why he's scared of you. Very corrupt. He took $2 million in bribes last year to kill a waterfront development bill. I have proof. Alexei sipped his wine. Which means he does what I tell him. That's how power works here, Elena. Everyone has secrets. I collect them. Do you have my secrets? Not yet. His hand found my thigh again. But I'm learning them. One by one. The drive home was torture. Alexei's hand never left my leg, creeping higher and higher until I was squirming in my seat. Please, I finally gasped. Please what? Touch me. Really touch me. Not in the car. His voice was strained. When we get home, Moya Vorobishka, I'm going to take my time with you. I'm going to map every inch of your body. I'm going to make you scream my name until the only word you remember is. The car screeched to a halt. Dmitry's voice came through the speaker. Boss, we have a problem. Alexei's entire demeanor shifted. Talk. Korsakov's men hit the Red Hook warehouse 30 minutes ago. 4 of ours dead. They took the shipment. My father's name was a bucket of ice water. Alexei's hand left my thigh. His expression went cold. Meet me at the secondary location. Now. He looked at me. I need to handle this. Let me come. No. He's my father. You deserve to stay alive. His voice was steel. This is a declaration of war, Elena. And you, he cupped my face, are the reason. He knows you're here, knows you're with me, and he's making a move. Fear and fury warred in my chest. Then I'm already in it. He studied me for a long moment. Then, Dmitry, bring her. But she stays in the car. The secondary location was another warehouse. Men were everywhere, armed, angry, loading weapons. Alexei turned to me before getting out. Stay here. Lock the doors. If anything happens... He pressed something into my hand. A phone. Press one. My men will come. Then he was gone, striding, into chaos like he owned it. Through the tinted window, I watched him give orders. Watched men scatter to follow them. Watched him transform from the man who'd touched me with desire into the kingpin who commanded an army. And I understood. This was his world. Blood and loyalty and violence. And I was choosing to stay in it. Choosing to stay with him. Even knowing what it would cost. I lasted 20 minutes in the car before I couldn't take it anymore. The phone Alexei had given me sat heavy in my hand, but I wasn't calling for help. I was watching through the warehouse windows as he stood over a table covered in maps and documents, surrounded by his lieutenants. Even from here, I could see the tension in his shoulders, the cold calculation in every gesture. 4 of his men were dead. Because of me. Because my father knew I'd aligned myself with his enemy. I got out of the car. Dmitry spotted me immediately and moved to intercept, but Alexei's hand came up stop. He didn't turn around, didn't acknowledge me, but he'd known the moment I'd disobeyed. She stays, he said flatly. Elena, come here. I crossed the warehouse floor, feeling every eye on me. When I reached the table, I saw what they were studying. Surveillance photos of my father. Nikolai Korsakov was handsome in a brutal way, sharp features, cold eyes, expensive suit. He stood outside a restaurant in Brighton Beach, surrounded by bodyguards. That was taken 6 hours ago, Alexei said. He's getting bold, making moves in daylight. Because he thinks you're weak now. One of the lieutenants, Pavel. I'd learned his name, said. Because you're protecting her instead of... Finish that sentence, Alexei said softly. I dare you. Pavel went pale. I apologize, boss. 4 dead is unacceptable, another man said. We need to retaliate. Hit his port operation. Cut off his supply chain. No. Alexei's voice was cold. That's what he wants. A war on his terms. He looked at me. He's using you as bait. Trying to make me emotional. Reckless. Then give me to him, I said. Every man in the room went silent. Alexei turned slowly. Excuse me? Use me as bait. Let him think he's winning. Then, no. You said he's trying to make you emotional, so prove you're not. Let me. His hand shot out, grabbed my wrist. Outside. Now. He dragged me through a side door into the cold night air. The moment we were alone, he spun me against the brick wall, his body caging mine. Are you insane? His voice was low, furious. You want me to offer you to him like a sacrificial lamb? I want you to win this. I pushed against his chest. 4 men died because of me. How many more before you admit I'm the liability? You're not. He stopped. Breathed hard. You're not a liability. You're... His fist slammed into the brick beside my head. Damn it, Elena. You're making me weak. Making me care more about keeping you safe than winning this war. And that's... dangerous. I know. I looked up at him. So let me help. Let me fix this. By walking into his hands? By letting the man who killed your mother have you? His other hand came up, cupped my face. I'd burn this city to the ground before I let him touch you. Why? The question tore out of me. Why do you care so much? I'm just what? Just a waitress I met a week ago? His laugh was bitter. You stopped being just. Anything the moment you looked at me like I was a man instead of a monster. His forehead dropped to mine. I told you I'd corrupt you. But you're corrupting me too. Making me want things I can't have. Making me believe. He stopped. Believe what? That maybe I deserve more than blood and power. That maybe I deserve you. My heart cracked open. Alexei. His mouth crashed into mine. This kiss was different, desperate, almost painful. Like he was trying to brand me with it. Own me. Keep me. When he pulled back, his eyes were dark. I'm going to end this. Tonight. I'm going to send a message to your father that he'll never forget. He released me, stepped back. But you stay here. With Dmitri. Behind locked doors. Understood? No. I straightened. If you're sending a message about me, I should be there. Elena. You made me yours. You put me in this world. You don't get to lock me away when it gets dangerous. I met his eyes. Whatever you're planning, I'm part of it. He studied me for a long moment. Then, incredibly, he smiled. You're going to be the death of me. Maybe, but not tonight. Back inside, Alexei laid out his plan. It was brutal, efficient, and it would work if I played my part. 2 hours later, I stood in a private room at an upscale Russian nightclub in Brighton Beach, wearing a wire and holding my breath. The door opened. Nikolai Korsakov walked in. He was older than his photos suggested, early 50s, with lines around his eyes and gray threading his dark hair. But his eyes were the same cold blue I'd seen in my own mirror my entire life. So, he said in accented English, Dmitri's granddaughter, the waitress playing Mafia princess. My hands clenched. Hello, father. He laughed. I'm not your father. I'm a stranger who made a mistake with a desperate woman 25 years ago. He circled me like a predator. You look like her, your mother. Same eyes. Same stupid defiance. You killed her. I solved a problem. He stopped in front of me. She wouldn't stay silent, wouldn't take the money and disappear. So I made her disappear. He shrugged. Business. Rage flooded through me. She was a person. Your child's mother. She was a liability. Like you. He grabbed my arm. Did you really think Mikhailov cares about you? He's using you to get to me. And when this is over, he'll throw you away like garbage. That's what men like us do. You're wrong. Am I? He pulled out his phone. showed me a photo. That was taken an hour ago. The blood drained from my face. It was Alexei. With a woman. Beautiful, blonde, her hand on his chest, his head bent toward hers. Irina Volchek, Nikolai said. His ex-fiancée. They were together for 5 years. She left him last year, but... He smiled. It looks like they're reconnecting. While you're here, playing spy. The room spun. That's not he wouldn't. Wake up, little girl. You're a pawn. A convenient tool. The moment you're no longer useful, he'll discard you. He leaned closer. But I'm your blood. I can protect you, get you out of this mess. All you have to do is tell me where Mikhailov's real money is. The offshore accounts. The shadow operations. Give me that, and I'll let you live. I stared at my father's face and saw nothing but calculation. No remorse. No recognition of me as his daughter. And I made my choice. Go to hell, I said. His expression went cold. Wrong answer. He backhanded me across the face. I stumbled, tasting blood. But I smiled through it because I'd gotten what I needed. The confession. All on tape. The door burst open. Alexei filled the doorway. Dmitri and 6 armed men behind him. Hands where I can see them, Nikolai. My father's face went white. This is neutral territory. You can't. I can do whatever I want. Alexei crossed the room, pulled me behind him. You just confessed to murder. Admitted to killing Katrina Volkov. All recorded. He held up a phone, receiving the wire's feed. The FBI will be very interested. So will the Bratva Council. Killing civilians, especially women, violates the old codes. You'll be excommunicated. You set me up, Nikolai breathed. Used her as bait. No. She volunteered. Alexei's voice was ice. Because unlike you, she's brave enough to face her monsters. You'll regret this, Mikhailov. I have allies. I have had. Past tense. Alexei nodded to Dmitri. Show him. Dmitri pulled out his own phone, played a video. In it, men in FBI jackets raided a warehouse. Nikolai's warehouse, judging by his reaction. Your operation is done, Alexei said. Your product seized. Your men arrested. And you, he stepped closer, are about to learn what happens when you threaten what's mine. He didn't kill him. That would have been too quick. Instead, he destroyed him. Systematically, publicly. By dawn, Nikolai Korsakov's empire was ash. His men arrested, his money frozen, his reputation ruined. And the man himself was on a plane to Moscow extradited on charges Alexei had manufactured with terrifying efficiency. He'll spend the rest of his life in a Russian prison, Alexei told me as we watched the plane take off from the airport's private observation deck. If he's lucky. If not, someone with a grudge will find him first. I should have felt triumph, relief, something. Instead, I felt numb. The woman? I said. Irina. The photo. Alexei went still. He showed you. Is it true? Are you? She came to me tonight. Asked to reconcile. He turned to me. I told her no. Told her I'm with someone else now. Someone who matters. His hand found mine. The photo was taken before I sent her away. There is nothing between us. There never will be again. How do I know you're not lying? You don't. He pulled me against him. You just have to decide if you trust me. If you believe I meant what I said. His hand slid into my hair. That you've corrupted me. That you've made me believe I deserve more than blood and power. I looked up at him, studied his face, this beautiful, dangerous, damaged man. I believe you, I whispered. He kissed me there on the observation deck with the sun rising behind us. Kissed me until I forgot everything but the taste of him, the feel of him, the impossible truth that I'd fallen for a monster. And maybe that made me a monster too. But God help me, I didn't care anymore. The penthouse was silent when we returned at dawn. Dmitri and the security detail stayed outside, giving us privacy. I suddenly wasn't sure I wanted. Everything felt different now. Lighter, heavier, like the world had tilted on its axis, and I was still finding my balance. Alexei moved to the windows, hands in his pockets, watching the city wake up. I stood in the doorway, still in last night's dress, now wrinkled and spotted with my father's blood, and tried to find words for what I was feeling. He's gone, I finally said. It's over. Is it? Alexei didn't turn around. Your father's gone. But this life, my life, doesn't stop. There will always be another enemy, another threat, Another night where I have to choose between what's right and what's necessary. I know that. Do you? Do you? Now he turned, and his expression was raw, unguarded. Because you can leave now, Elena. I kept my promise. I gave you revenge. I gave you justice. The deal was 1 month. It's been 12 days. He crossed to the bar, poured himself vodka even though it was barely 6 a.m. I'll give you money. A new identity if you want it. Protection until you're settled somewhere safe. You can go back to school. To your normal life. You can... I don't want normal. The words came out fierce. Sure. I don't want to go back. He went still, the glass halfway to his lips. What are you saying? I'm saying I choose this. I choose you. I move toward him. I know what you are, what you do, the blood on your hands, and I'm choosing it anyway. You don't know what you're asking for. Then tell me. I stopped in front of him. Tell me exactly what staying means. He set down the glass with deliberate care. It means you're mine. Completely. It means you live in my world, the violence, the danger, the impossible choices. It means you'll see me do things that will horrify you. It means people will use you to hurt me, and I'll do unspeakable things to protect you. His hand came up, cupped my face. It means you'll never be truly safe again, never be innocent again. It means I'm already not innocent. I covered his hand with mine. I used myself as bait tonight. I faced my father knowing he might kill me. I watched you destroy a god, man's life, and I felt satisfaction. My voice cracked. I've already crossed every line I swore I wouldn't. Because of you. For you. Elena, I love you. The words burst out before I could stop them. I know it's insane. I know it's been less than 2 weeks. I know you're a criminal and I should run as far and fast as I can. But I love you. I love your strength. I love how you protect the people you care about. I love that you're capable of both terrible violence and impossible gentleness. I love... Tears spilled down my cheeks. That you make me feel powerful and safe and terrified all at once. He stared at me like I'd spoken a language he didn't understand. You can't love me, he said hoarsely. I'm a monster. I know. You keep saying it. I grabbed his jacket, pulled him closer. But you're my monster now, and I'm choosing you. All of you. If you'll have me. For a long moment, he didn't move, didn't speak, just looked at me with those gunmetal eyes that had haunted me since the first night. Then he broke. His mouth found mine in a kiss that was nothing like before. This was desperate, consuming. His hands fisted in my hair, my dress, pulling me against him like he was drowning and I was air. I kissed him back just as fiercely, pouring everything I felt into it, the fear, the desire, the impossible love. Say it again, he demanded against my lips. I love you, again. I love you, Alexei Mikhailov. I love... He lifted me in one smooth motion. My legs wrapped around his waist instinctively as he carried me down the hall to his bedroom. Not the guest room I'd been using, but his private sanctuary. The room was all dark wood and masculine elegance. But I barely noticed because he laid me on his bed like I was something precious, his body covering mine. I don't deserve you, he said, his hands framing my face. I don't deserve this. But I'm keeping you anyway. Do you understand? I'm keeping you, Elena. You're mine now. For as long as you'll have me. Forever then. He kissed me again, and this time his hands moved unzipping my dress, sliding it off my shoulders, revealing skin he traced with his mouth. I arched into him, gasping when his lips found the hollow of my throat, the swell of my breasts. You're perfect, he murmured against my skin. So perfect. And all mine. I tugged at his shirt, desperate to feel him. He pulled it off in one motion, and I finally saw all of him, the scars that decorated his chest and ribs, the tattoos that marked his allegiances, the brutal beauty of a body built for violence. Your turn, I whispered, tracing a scar over his heart. Tell me what I am to you. His eyes met mine. Everything. You're everything. Moja malenkaya vorobishka. My conscience, my weakness, my strength. He caught my hand, pressed it flat over his racing heart. I didn't think I could feel this. Love, tenderness, fear of losing something. His voice dropped. But you've ruined me for anyone else. You've made me believe I might be worth saving. You are, I said fiercely. You are worth saving. Then save me. He kissed me again. Love me. Stay with me. And I swear I'll spend the rest of my life earning you. What followed was tender and intense and perfect. He worshipped every inch of me, learned what made me gasp and moan and beg, and when he finally made me his in every way, I felt complete in a way I'd never imagined. Afterward, we lay tangled together as morning light streamed through the windows. His hand traced lazy patterns on my bare back. "What happens now?" I asked. "Now?" He pressed a kiss to my hair. "Now I introduce you to the organization properly. Not as my guest, as my partner." I lifted my head. "Your partner? You saved a man's life in that warehouse. You faced your father with more courage than most of my men possess. You see the gray in this world, the impossible choices." He tucked hair behind my ear. "I need that. I need you beside me, reminding me where the line is. That's a lot of responsibility. Can you handle it?" I thought about everything I'd been through, everything I'd learned, the power I'd felt holding a gun, the satisfaction of watching justice, however brutal, being served. "Yes," I said. "I can handle it." "Good." He pulled me on top of him, his hands spanning my waist. "Because I have plans for you, Elena Volkov. Big plans." "Like what?" His smile was wicked. "Like ruling this city together. Like building something that's both empire and family. Like," he sobered, "like maybe, someday, giving you everything your mother never had. Safety, love, a future." My throat tightened. "Children? If you want them. Years from now. When we've built something stable enough to protect them." His hand slid to my stomach, rested there. "I want to give you everything, Moya. Everything I never had. Everything I never thought I deserved." I kissed him softly. "Then let's build it. Together. Together," he agreed. But even as I lay in his arms, feeling safer than I'd ever felt, I knew the truth. This world would test us. Test our love. Test every choice we made. Because monsters don't get fairy tale endings. They get survival, and loyalty, and love forged in fire. And maybe, just maybe, that was enough. 3 weeks later, I stood in Alexei's office at the Red Hook warehouse, reviewing protection detail rotations with Dmitri, when the first explosion hit. The building shook, windows shattered, alarms screamed. Dmitri shoved me under the desk. "Stay down." But I was already reaching for the gun Alexei had given me, my own Glock 19, now as familiar in my hands as breathing. "What's happening?" I demanded. "Attack." Dmitri spoke into his radio. "All units, defensive positions, protect the boss." I repeat, protect. The door burst open. Alexei strode in, blood on his shirt, fury in his eyes. "Elena, with me. Now." "Boss, she should go to the safe room." "No safe room. They've surrounded the building." He grabbed my hand. We fight our way out together. The next hour was chaos. We moved through the warehouse as Alexei's men engaged attackers I couldn't see clearly. Men in tactical gear, professionals, not random rivals, someone organized. "Who are they?" I gasped as Alexei pulled me behind a concrete pillar, returning fire with terrifying precision. "Mercenaries. Expensive ones." He dropped an empty magazine, reloaded without looking. "Someone paid a fortune for this." "Who would?" Then I understood. "My father. He's not in Russia. He sent them." "No." Alexei's expression was grim. "This is someone else. Someone who waited until we were vulnerable." He looked at me. "I need you to do exactly what I say. Can you do that?" "Yes. There's an exit through the basement. Dmitri will take you." "I'm not leaving you." "Elena," I said, "I'm not leaving you." I grabbed his jacket. "We survive this together or not at all?" He stared at me. Then, incredibly, he smiled. "You're insane. I learned from the best." "Fine. But you stay behind me. You shoot only if I tell you to. And if I go down," his hand cupped my face, "you run. Promise me, Alexei. Promise me, Elena. I promise." He kissed me hard. Then, "Let's go." We fought through the basement. I fired my gun twice, both times at shadows that got too close, both times hitting my target. Alexei's training had stuck, but there were too many of them. In a storage room near the exit, we were pinned down. Alexei was on his radio, calling for backup. But I could hear it in his voice we might not last long enough. "I love you," I said suddenly. He looked at me. "Don't you dare say goodbye." "I'm not. I'm saying I love you, in case I forget to later." He pulled me into a fierce kiss. I love you too, moja Vorobishka. More than I knew I could love anything. Then the door exploded inward. I screamed. Alexei shoved me behind him, raised his gun. Stand down. A voice boomed. FBI. Agents in tactical gear flooded the room. For a moment, nobody moved. Then one agent lowered his weapon. Mr. Mikhailov. We're here to help. Senator Morrison sent us. Alexei slowly lowered his gun. Morrison? The attack was orchestrated by the Volchek family. Viktor Volchek, Irina's father, wants revenge for you, rejecting his daughter. The agent gestured to the chaos outside. We've been tracking the mercenaries. When we realized the target was you, the senator called in the favor you're owed. I slumped against Alexei, legs suddenly weak. It's over? The attack is... Alexei pulled me close. But Volchek won't stop. Not until... He stopped, looked at the agent. Where is he now? In federal custody. We had enough evidence of his illegal arms deals to arrest him an hour ago. The agent smiled. Your anonymous tip was very thorough, Mr. Mikhailov. Alexei had already known. Had already made the moves to protect us while I was still reeling. You set this up, I said. I eliminated a threat. He kissed my forehead. I protect what's mine. Later, in the penthouse, our penthouse now, my things mixed with his, I sat on the bathroom counter while Alexei cleaned the cuts on my arms from flying glass. You could have died tonight, I said quietly. So could you. He pressed a kiss to my wrist. But we didn't. We survived. Together. Is it always going to be like this? Attacks and enemies and... Yes. He met my eyes. This life, my life, our life now will always have danger. I can't promise you safe. I can only promise that I'll fight to keep you alive. That I'll burn the world down before I let anyone hurt you. That's not healthy. Nothing about us is healthy. He pulled me off the counter. Into his arms. We're a Mafia boss and the girl who called him a coward in Russian. We're violence and tenderness. Blood and love. We're inevitable. I finished. You said that once. That you were going to own me. Body and soul. And do I? I looked up at this man, this beautiful, damaged, dangerous man, who'd given me revenge and protection and love all twisted together. Yes, I whispered. You own every part of me. Just like I own every part of you. He kissed me then, deep and claiming and full of promise. And I knew that whatever came next, whatever enemies or dangers or impossible choices, we'd face them together. Because I'd chosen this life. I'd chosen him. And there was no going back. 6 months later, I stood in a private room at an exclusive Manhattan venue, adjusting the diamond necklace Alexei had given me that morning. You look nervous, Irina said from the doorway. Not Irina Volchek, but Irina, my stylist, who'd become something close to a friend. I am nervous. I smoothed the deep red gown. Tonight I'm being formally introduced to every Bratva family on the East Coast. I'm about to become queen. Irina finished with a smile. You're about to become queen. 6 months ago. That would have terrified me. Now, I lifted my chin and met her eyes. Yes, I am. The ballroom was full of dangerous men and their carefully curated partners. I recognized faces from news reports, people who shouldn't exist in the same room without bloodshed. But tonight, Alexei had called a gathering, and everyone had come. He waited for me at the bottom of the stairs, devastating in a black tux, his eyes never leaving mine as I descended. "Ty vygliadyesh kak koroleva," he murmured. "You look like a queen." "Ya uchoses ulukshik," I replied. "I learned from the best." He took my hand, raised it to his lips. "Are you ready? To stand beside you in front of every criminal organization in New York?" Absolutely terrified, but yes, his smile was proud. "That's my girl." We entered together. The room went silent. Every eye turned to us, assessing, calculating, judging. Alexei's hand tightened on mine. Then he spoke, his voice carrying authority that demanded attention. "Many of you knew Dmitry Sokolov. Many feared him. Some called him friend." He drew me forward. "This is Elena Volkov, his great niece, my partner, my future." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. "She is under my protection," Alexei continued, "which means she is under all our protection. Anyone who threatens her threatens me. Anyone who harms her." His voice dropped to steel. "Will learn why they call me the Winter Ghost." A older man stepped forward, Boris Kuznetsov, head of the Brooklyn Bratva. "She has no experience. No place in our world. She has Sokolov blood, Alexei countered. She has proven her courage. And she has proven her loyalty. That's more than most can claim. Boris studied me. Can she speak for herself? Or are you her master? I felt Alexei tense, but I stepped forward. I can speak, I said clearly. I'm Elena Volkov. I didn't ask for this life. I didn't grow up in it, but I'm here now. And I'm learning that this world, your world, isn't just violence. It's also family, loyalty, protection of those who can't protect themselves. I gestured to where Maria from the shelter stood near the back. Alexei had invited her deliberately. Alexei funds 3 shelters for women escaping violence. He relocates refugees. He protects neighborhoods you've all forgotten. I met Boris's eyes. I'm not here to take power. I'm here to remind you what power should be used for. To help him build something better than what came before. Silence. Then Boris laughed, a deep, genuine sound. Sokolov's blood indeed. She has his fire. He raised his glass. To Elena Volkov. May she keep the winter ghost warm. Others raised their glasses. Not everyone, some faces remained hostile. But enough. It was a beginning. Later, on the penthouse balcony under a sky full of stars, Alexei pulled me close. You were magnificent tonight. I was terrified. You were magnificent, he repeated. You stood in front of the most dangerous men in New York and told them to be better. You reminded them that power comes with responsibility. His hand slid into my hair. You're going to change this world. Moja malenkaya vorobishka. We're going to change it, I corrected. Together. Together, he agreed. I looked out at the city, at millions of lights hiding millions of secrets. Somewhere out there, people were suffering. Somewhere out there, deals were being made in shadows. Somewhere out there, the next threat to our empire was planning their move. But here, in Alexei's arms, I felt powerful. What are you thinking? He asked. That I used to dream of being a child psychologist, helping kids who'd been hurt like I was. I turned in his arms. And now I'm the girlfriend of a mafia boss. Everything I swore I'd never be. Do you regret it? I thought about the shelters we funded. The women we'd helped escape. The man whose hands I'd saved. The balance of violence and mercy I helped Alexei maintain. No, I said honestly. This isn't the life I imagined. But it's the life I choose. Every day. Because of you. With you. He kissed me softly. I choose you too. Every day. Every moment. He pulled back, his expression serious. But I need you to know this life will demand everything from you. It will test you in ways you can't imagine. There will be nights when you question whether loving me is worth the cost. And there will be nights when you question the same about me, I countered. But we'll figure it out. Because that's what love is. Choosing each other even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. You're too good for me. Probably. I smiled. But you're stuck with me anyway. Forever? Forever. He kissed me again, deep and claiming and full of promise. And I kissed him back, tasting danger and desire and home all mixed together. This was my life now. Not the fairy tale I'd imagined as a girl. Not the quiet, normal existence I'd once thought I wanted. But mine. Ours. Built on blood and loyalty and impossible love. I was Elena Volkov. Dmitry Sokolov's great niece. Alexei Mikhailov's partner. Queen of Shadows. And I was exactly where I belonged. 1 year later. Again, I said calmly, watching the new recruit fumble with the gun. Breathe. Squeeze. Don't pull. The shot hit outer ring. Better than before. Good, Alexei said from the observation window above the shooting range. She's a natural teacher, Dmitry grunted. She's become one of us. Hard to remember she was a waitress 18 months ago. I remember, Alexei said softly. I remember everything about that night. In the office upstairs, I reviewed the month's reports. 3 new shelters opened, 12 families relocated safely, 1 trafficking ring dismantled, and 2 territory disputes resolved without bloodshed. You've changed things, Maria said during our weekly meeting. The women ask about you. They want to thank you. They should never know who I am, I said firmly. That's the point. They're safe. That's what matters. But some things hadn't changed. I still woke some nights in cold sweat, remembering my father's hand across my face. Still flinched at loud noises. Still struggled with the violence I'd witnessed. But Alexei was always there, pulling me close, reminding me I was safe, that we were building something better. I got you something, he said that evening, leading me into his study. On his desk sat a file folder. "What is it?" "Your mother's case. Officially reopened. Detective Chen has been charged. Your father." He paused. "Died in a Russian prison last month. Shiv to the throat." I should have felt something. Relief, satisfaction, something. Instead, I just felt tired. "It's over then. That chapter is." He pulled me into his arms. "But ours is just beginning." "What do you mean?" He stepped back, pulled a small box from his pocket. My breath caught. "Elena Volkov, you challenged me in Russian. You called me a coward and a thief. You walked into my world with nothing but courage and your grandmother's stubbornness." He opened the box, revealing a ring platinum, with a diamond that caught the light like a star. "You've become my partner, my conscience, the queen of my empire, and I love you more than I thought I could love anything." He dropped to one knee. "Marry me. Rule beside me. Build this empire with me. Give me forever." Tears streamed down my face. "Yes. God, yes." He slid the ring on my finger, then pulled me into a kiss that tasted like promises and power and home. "I love you," I whispered against his lips. "I love you," he replied. "My waitress, my queen, my everything." And in that moment, I knew the truth. This life, dangerous and beautiful and impossible, was ours. We'd built it from secrets and revenge and forbidden desire. We'd survived attacks and betrayals and enemies who wanted us destroyed. We'd chosen each other again and again, despite every reason to walk away. Because some love isn't gentle. Some love is forged in fire. Some love is a mafia boss, and the waitress who called him out in Russian who became his equal, his partner, his queen. And some love is powerful enough to rule an empire. This was ours. Dangerous, consuming, eternal. And I wouldn't change a single moment.